Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's small business webinar. My name is Paul LaChapelle. I'm with Montana State University Extension Community Development Program, and it's under very somber circumstances that we're bringing you today's webinar on the coronavirus. And do want to just direct your attention to any tech support questions or issues you might have. If you scroll to the top of the Q&A box, you can access a phone number and a email address with any questions you might have. So again, we are holding today's webinar on short notice. Today's subject is a business crisis toolkit, control what you can during the COVID-19 crisis. Again, we are recording today's webinar and we'll be posting this archive link on our website. Again, if you scroll to the top of the Q&A box, you can access that website, as well as all of the past webinars from the last 2.5 years. Today's webinar is sponsored by MSU Extension Community Development Program, the Small Business Development Centers, which are affiliated with the Montana Department of Commerce and U.S. Small Business Administration, the Montana Economic Developers Association, with additional support from the Great Falls Development Authority and the University of Montana. Please feel free to type your questions or comments in the Q&A box, and our presenter, Jason, will do his best to address all of those questions this morning. And now I'd like to introduce today's presenter. Jason Nitschke is a nationally recognized business advisor. He's the Regional Director of the Great Falls Area Small Business Development Center and Vice President at Great Falls Development Authority. So Jason, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you, Paul, and thank you to everyone who's joining us today. Obviously, as we all know, everyone here is going through a difficult time. Much of what you're hearing in the news right now about the 3 phases of stimulus funding at the federal level is designed to ensure that there is capital in the hands of consumers. Among those topics being discussed, universal basic income, the UBI stuff, depending on income and household size, would be designed to cover things like mortgage, utilities, food. For me, in my household, my daughter and myself would potentially be about $1,700. That would be about 1 month of those things. Anything left over for consumers to spend money on through their savings or their ongoing income, really it's our job as entrepreneurs in the private sector to give them something to spend their money on. So it's our obligation to make it easy for them to do that. And that's what we're going to try to do today, is talk about some of those various things. As we get started, we did bring this thing together relatively quickly. So here's our agenda. We're going to try to talk about some guidance for businesses. We're going to talk about funding resources. I'm sure many of you are here for that reason. We're going to talk about cybersecurity a little bit. There are scammers out there trying to take advantage of people. And then I want to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to understand the resources available to them right now. So I am a deconstructionist. I'm a business advisor. It is our job as business advisors to deconstruct business activities to help people understand what the core functions of business are. Those things are market, operations, and financials. Any business, regardless of size, has to address 3 primary elements. Your market is your forward-facing, your customer-facing activities. Operations or operational efficiency and cash flow management, and every decision that you make has financial implications. So I am not planning to talk today about those top 2 things in great detail. We are working on a presentation for you next week on this topic of those top 2 things. My colleague Rich, who is on the call today with us, also put together some tips in the attachments there called the Crisis Toolkit for Businesses, dated 3/18/20. But what I can tell you all right now is that we all need to start thinking about how to pivot. bringing in more money, utilizing three things: new money, some other kind of income coming in three different ways. So let's first start to think about what human assets that you have available, what current assets you have available, and what fixed assets you have available, and how else you can use those things to generate revenue. The other thing, my background is in journalism and communication. I'm an entrepreneur as well. But in my core study in graduate school, we talked about corporate and crisis communication. And so right now is a critically important time for us all to be communicating honestly to our customers, and also remembering what the core tenet of marketing is, which is the call to action. I use the analogy all the time with people. If you have a partner or a spouse, and you are expecting them to give you a back rub someday, and you don't ask them for that back rub, they probably will not give you that back rub. So we need to remember, let's communicate honestly and ask our customers what can they do for us. Tell them what you want them to do, okay? Those two things are going to be topics for additional presentations, and again, there's some tips in the file downloads there. A bit about my background. I'm Vice President of Great Falls Development Authority. We're an economic development organization serving the Golden Triangle. I'm Regional Director of the Great Falls Area Small Business Development Center, federally funded resource partner of the U.S. Small Business Administration and the Montana Department of Commerce. Again, my background is in entrepreneurship. I come from a family of entrepreneurs. I worked as a journalist for 16 years. I have educational background in corporate and crisis communication as well. I'm a certified business advisor. I've been with GFDA for 5 years. I also have 2 years of experience reviewing insurance policies for the state of Illinois. So let's get started in talking about guidance to businesses. This is not going to be the answer that most people are going to want to hear. For you to be able to access capital, the first place for you to look is close to yourself. So evaluate your current assets. This is a balance sheet activity. Look at what you've got on your current assets. What is your cash on hand? If you're an accruals-based business, what is your accounts receivable? And what is your inventory? What are those things that you can convert most quickly to cash? The rule number one that we all need to be thinking about right now is cash, 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 preserve it, and how to access it. That's the question you're all trying to get answered. The unfortunate reality is that debt may not be the best option for you long term, and it may be hard to access right now unless you've got some other existing opportunity. On your ARs and inventory, things like that, it may be worth your while to ask or offer discounts for early payment to convert existing sales into cash. So what are discounts? If you can offer 2% or 5%, Cut Bank Creek Brewery up in Cut Bank right now is offering gift cards, $100 value at $75. My colleague Rich just paid $75 for a gift card at Cut Bank Creek Brewery with a $100 value. Your lines of credit and existing current liabilities with your existing bank partners, it is worth considering drawing down your lines of credit so that you have cash on hand. There are some people who are going to say that's a bad idea. There are some people who are going to say that's a fantastic idea. In my conversations with our Food and Ag Development Center Director, Barnett Sporkin-Morrison, here in our office, he is saying that it is likely that the large corporations have already drawn down their lines of credit and have put those funds into an interest-bearing account. It is also worth considering what your personal lines of credit and credit are so that you can access those things. I do recognize that nationally, the statistic is that most businesses only have about 2 weeks cash on hand. So we have to look at all opportunities to bring cash into our business to cover our costs. We do have to assume that lenders are going to be contracting lines of credit, which is why we want to draw some things down. And making it difficult to establish new commercial debt options and relationships. Some other things for people to think about, and again, I know I do recognize that some of you out there just don't have access to this kind of stuff. Debt may not be the solution. We also have to consider the other form of capital infusion, which is equity. That may be from family or friends. It may also come from you as paid in capital into your balance sheet on the net worth side of your company. It could also be a liability from you, the person, to your business activity. Those are things worth considering. On the personal side, do you have assets to borrow against? Your home, can you borrow against your home, a home equity line of credit, some other personal line of credit? It is worth considering equity injection into your business because these are going to be faster ways to access capital than the traditional forms of debt. This is going to be a topic that the unfortunate reality is unfortunate. It is worth, however, reviewing your existing business insurance policy for disruption coverage. The next thing that we need to really start to think about, whether it's a good time or a bad time, is really controlling our expenses. Profitability is an exercise in management of fixed and variable costs. So we need to start all looking at our balance sheet and our income statement. On the income side of things, what are your variable costs? And if you don't know the definition of a variable cost, the expenses that rise and fall in direct correlation to the sales volume. I see a typo there, of course. So for most companies, that's a cost of goods sold or labor. If you're going to be, I know most of you have probably started the process of laying off your employees. If you're going to do that, send your employees to the montanaworks.gov page. There's a button right there that they can start to do that. Make sure that your employees are filing as job attached layoff tied to the COVID-19 coronavirus. Those are important things to do so that your employees are not obligated to seek additional employment, job attached layoff. You want to also have access to those employees once things start to recover, whenever that may be. So on variable costs, again, what are these things for your business? Your expenses that rise and fall in direct correlation to sales volume. When you're working through this exercise in your income statement, move from the largest dollar amounts to the smallest. Ask yourself, what are these things that can be cut? On the fixed cost side of things, again, expenses that do not change in direct correlation to your sales volume. Things like rent payments. This is, I know, going to be upsetting to some landlords that we are making a recommendation that you engage as business owners with your landlords if you have a rent or lease situation. This may be rent or lease of equipment as well. This may upset some landlords. I do recognize that, but all we're trying to do is have people engage in the conversation to figure out what is available to them. Some landlords will not have the financial flexibility to be able to offer you a deferment. Some of them will. It's been my experience so far that there are good dialogues happening between the people who own the properties and people who are needing to make payments on those things. With regard to debt service, again, it's important to communicate with your bank partners. Ask them the question, are there interest only or deferment options for you? And that should be also on the personal side of things and with your current liabilities, your credit cards and lines of credit. This could also include your accounts payable through your vendors. Oops, I missed a page. Whoops. So on the payable side, again, it's important to preserve cash. This is a question to be asked, dialogue to be had. Slowing the cash out is another source of capital for you. Can you extend payment terms? If you pay 30 days, can you pay 60? Can you make a half a payment? Can you do something? It is important to consider early payment options if discounts are being made available to you. A 2% discount if you pay within 10 days can save you 2%, and that could be something. Of course, you need to understand the new cost structure of your business and make it an assessment of what you have cash on hand, what your cash availability is, and then make a well-informed decision as to whether or not you can make that type of decision. That is a best practice when things are good. It is something to consider as well now while things are not good. The best practice with financial management is to close your books the 10th day of the 10th day of the previous month. Close your books and review your financial statements. I'm sure there are many of you out there who probably don't look at your financial statements except for once a year on April 15th when your accountant and tax preparer says, give me a signature. It is critically important for us all right now to increase our review of our cash flow statements, our income statements, and our balance sheets so that we can understand what your cash to cash and operating cycles are becoming, what your revenue is or is not, and what your cash obligations will be. So it is important critically at this point in time to understand what your cash flow is right now, what your new break even is right now. It's probably worth your time to spend some time understanding what your liquidity ratios are. If you're going to be engaging with your lender, those lenders are going to be looking at your liquidity ratios and making determinations just like they did before. You need to be able to act in real time. I have talked to restaurateurs over the last week who are still profitable because they are managing their expenses and acting in real time. I'm sure there are some of you out there who don't have QuickBooks or some other bookkeeping software that they use, and maybe you're still using General Ledger. If you don't use a bookkeeping software that is easy for you to pull statements out of and reports out of, here is a link right here. If you download the presentation notes, that link right there can get you to a spreadsheet that can help you manually do cash flow analysis. So funding sources, funding resources, this is why I'm sure many of you are here. Who else can you access funds from? Again, it is critically important to look at your existing relationships and consider equity. These are going to be substantially faster ways to access capital. So equity from yourself or a loan from self to your business, your family or friends, either equity injection from them, a gift, some kind of relationship, or debt. Those two things will be faster and easier than traditional commercial lines of credit. Obviously, contact your bank partners. Ask them what your opportunities are and what they're not, what their processes and requirements are. Access your existing lines of credit, and again, consider drawing down existing lines and consider it. I'm not saying do it, I'm saying consider it. Some of this can be more expensive money, but again, you will have obligations and you need to figure out a way to meet those obligations. Gap lenders, like the Great Falls Development Authority, there are a variety around the state, Big Sky Economic Development, MoFi in Missoula, Headwaters RC&D in Butte, and others throughout the state. All around the state, there are gap lenders to consider, and some of us are considering working capital loans and how we will be able to do those things for you to be able to help. But I will say right now is going to be a difficult time for people to establish new credit relationships. And I'm going to point out some of those quick online lenders. I don't want to say any names, but some of you may know some of them. May be quick and accessible cash. There may be problems with those things as well. Those online lenders are high interest rates, extremely high interest rates, and they may be taking money out of your account on a weekly basis. In my experience, a lot of those online lenders can create more problems than they help to solve. So be aware, make a well-informed decision, and understand what you're getting into. Now, to probably what many of you, again, are here to talk about or hear about, the SBA Disaster Loan Assistance Program. I know that there were some questions before about the time frame, how this works, not being able to get into the system. As of Wednesday, the entire state of Montana was approved and authorized by the SBA to be eligible for disaster assistance programs. As of today, it's a matter of time. So again, 30 counties became eligible on Wednesday. The governor submitted those counties. As of Wednesday, all 54 counties in Montana are eligible. If you are not able to get in, start the application, save, save, save. If it won't let you get past a certain point, it will at a certain point. The SBA, both in Helena and at the federal level, are aware of this. According to the call I was on with the SBA district office in Helena yesterday, lender relations specialist Rena Carlson said that they are aware, they know, and they are working to get the dots connected. At this point is an issue of time. She also referred to Montana being one of the first states in the country that was approved statewide. So this will happen. It will take a bit of time to get the dots connected. What are the things you are going to need to apply? The best way to do this is to do it all online. You can click that link there. You can do it all online. Everything that you would need for a standard loan application for these working capital loans will also be required. So tax returns, internally prepared statements, PFS, personal financial statement. They made it very clear on the calls that I have been on that the personal financial statement, organizational documentation, and affiliated business documentation, including partnerships and other ownership of all of these things, has to be accurate. Your application will not be deemed complete until everything is accurate. A personal financial statement has to balance. Organizational documentation needs to be comprehensive and complete. Affiliated business documentation, partners within each one of those, they all have to provide their information as well. Your debt schedule, your list of liabilities, that will need to be current and uploaded. You are going to need to prove economic injury tied to the coronavirus. Creditworthiness will be addressed, and please be aware there will be denials based on other access to credit. Rena from the Helena District Office of the SBA yesterday said, quote, "It is a first in, first out process. So do what you can to get your application complete and in progress as quickly as you possibly can, knowing full well that there are at this point in time obligations on the federal side to connect the dots." I'm gonna wipe my nose momentarily, hold on. The time frame, I know there was at least one question here, and I'm with my daughter here, Loki. I'm on a presentation. Okay, can you give me a minute? You can get a snack. Yes, you can get a snack. Logan, I'm presenting. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm here with my daughter. Loki, do what you need to do, please. On the time frame side of things, I know there are questions about this. Once your application is deemed 100% complete, it will take 2 to 4 weeks to determination, and there will be disapprovals. Not everybody is going to be approved. Once you are approved, if you are approved, it will take 3 to 4 months to fund. That is according to a call that I was on with the SBA. I believe the presenter was in DC. This is going to take time. The SBA is a small agency, and there are only so many underwriters and credit analysts within the organization, within the agency. It is important to note that banks can categorize internal immediate working capital loans as bridge loans now and be paid off when the disaster assistance loans are funded. And according to Rena yesterday on the call, banks are being told, please do so. So again, going back to your existing bank partner and talking to them about working capital loans, and just be aware that this is not going to be an immediate solution. I want to talk briefly about some cybersecurity stuff. This is a nationally recognized cybersecurity expert. I saw him speak at a national conference a couple of years ago. Scams are happening. The FDIC, the Bank Insurance Corporation, is telling you the FDIC does not solicit. Don't provide your personal information. Be very, very aware. Paul, if you can push play on this, we can push play on this now. Again, John Cilio
I'll press play right now. Hang tight, everybody.
Thank you. There is some delay on this. We were having some tech issues, but it's good to hear. It's about 4 minutes long. We can get it to play. Paul, I'm not hearing it. I don't know if anyone else is. You may not be hearing it, Paul. Let's just skip. Yep, I can't hear it. So there is a link in the attachment there, folks. The Business Crisis Toolkit, Control What You Can, that 1 megabyte document. There is a link into that. Paul, if we can come back to me, please. Apologies, folks. Basically, what John's talking about is be aware. Don't give your personal information unless you believe it's a worthwhile source. No federal program is going to be asking you for your personal information, okay? There are scam artists trying to take advantage of people right now. Like I said, if you get anything from the FDIC, they do not solicit. The slides can come back to me. I think that's what we're working on right now.
They are. Sorry about that, Jason. Apologize for the technology
problem.
issues.
So some resources available, folks. My organization, GFDA, has just pushed out a crisis toolkit. You can follow that link there. It's also attached here, GFDA Crisis Toolkit. You can go to the SBA.gov website for a variety of things. Our National Association of Small Business Development Centers has a clearinghouse with some information, including revenue and management items. But not right now. That's fine. That's good. The Montana Small Business Development Center Network, you can find contact information for all resource partners through the SBDC at the Department of Commerce page there. If you have labor-related questions, I'm going to defer and send you straight to the Department of Labor. The last word here, as we kind of wrap up, contact your trusted advisors, that BAIL team, B-A-I-L, your banker, your accountant, your insurance agents, your lawyers, business advisors like SBA Resource Partners at the SBDCs, SCORE chapters statewide, Women's Business Centers statewide, Veterans Business Outreach Centers statewide. I'm opening food for my child right now. Sorry, folks. Your financial advisors, ask them if you are looking for guidance and assistance on how to make some of these financial decisions, especially those where you may be trying to pull money out of your personal accounts and put them into your bank accounts. Here at Great Falls Development Authority, we have 6 business advisors. I know there are a lot of people from throughout the state. A lot of us have a variety of different types of strengths and weaknesses. Rich Gannon is our website marketing and search engine optimization specialist. Tyler is a social media and website specialist. My specialties at GFDA are cash flow, operations management, and messaging. Barnett is our food specialist, and there are Food and Ag Development Center programs throughout Montana. And then the PTAC program, if you're a government contractor, trying to figure out how to access government programs or government opportunities. Lillian in our office, Shannon in our office are options as well. The Montana PTAC, PTAC, Procurement Technical Assistance Programs. And then for any of the Small Business Development Center locations throughout the state, sbdc.mt.gov, 10 centers throughout the state of Montana. If you are calling in from outside the state of Montana, there are 1,000 SBDC centers nationwide, 5,000 business advisors nationwide, and the SBDC is just one of the SBA resource providers. We provide free technical assistance and no and low-cost trainings. If you'd like to stay connected with GFDA, our top 10 list for our distributions, you can go straight onto our website to find some of our blog content and our social media platforms. If you do have good ideas, I'm interested to hear them. Please feel free to shoot me an email and share what is working and what is not working. The recording, I'm going to try to start answering questions here now, folks. And I'm going to move backwards. Tana, will this all be emailed to us? The files are there available for download. The recording will be posted as soon as the folks in MSU are available. There's the link from Paul on the cybersecurity information. Okay, the video, no audio, no audio, no audio, no audio. Apologies for that, folks. We tried. I'm trying to go back to find questions here. There was one question here. I apologize, folks. There's a lot of questions.
Jason, if you'd like, I could read some of the questions to you. I'm scrolling through them now, and you could answer them I could just bring them up.
Yeah, please. Thank you, Paul.
Sure. Chris Gentry asked, I have heard that if you have an employee that claims unemployment due to COVID, that it will not be charged against the employer's UI rate.
That is correct. I would again send you to the Department of Labor for further information.
Okay, to confirm, you recommend each to draw cash from business line of credit, correct? What percentage do you recommend? I think is what they said.
Sure. I'm not a financial advisor, so that's a difficult question for me to answer. Make a well-informed decision. How much do you think you're going to need? Make a well-informed decision. Think about what the new cost structure of your business is going to be. What revenue do you anticipate coming in? What are your expenses going to be? How much should you draw down? It really depends. You know, that's probably a conversation that we could have, or you could have with your SBDC advisor, your accountant, a financial advisor, another SBA resource partner, maybe a banker you could have that conversation with. I do anticipate some contraction here over the next relative short term. The percentage, it's hard to say. It really depends on how much you've got and how much you need and how much you're comfortable with, because again, that is debt that you will have to pay back.
Jason, another comment that's come up. I pulled my credit line as suggested, but digging out of the debt seems like an insurmountable burden, even after recovery, ... Any response to that?
Yeah, it's scary. It is a scary time right now, no doubt. Yes, it's going to be difficult for us all to dig out of this. I do have confidence in our local, state, and federal government that there will be assistance and resources to small businesses to help reduce the uncertainty and reduce the risk for everybody. This is going to be a difficult time, and you are correct. We all may have zero in the bank at the end of this all and no light at the end of the tunnel. I don't want to sugarcoat it and give light to the end of the tunnel where there may not be some. Let's be realistic about this, make well-informed decisions, and go from there.
Jason, another question. I am a massage therapist who is self-employed. What financial support will be offered to businesses like mine?
I hate to answer the questions with I don't know or it depends, but in reality, I believe, and I'm not fully versed on all of the things that have been made eligible through the stimulus packages that have been approved and signed by the president. Some of that may be an option. If you are a W-2 wage earner from your company, you can file for unemployment on yourself. I have some clients who've done that. If not, it may be in your best interest to contact the Department of Labor and ask what your resources and opportunities are. It's going to be a difficult time. I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to that question.
Another question, Jason. I have heard about the possibility of SBA loans. However, borrowing with no idea when or how you are going to be able to pay it back is a problem. Perhaps mandating the banks to a 6-month moratorium and suspending all loans or mortgage payments, no compounding interest, no foreclosures. After all, they were bailed out in 2007, 2008, ?
Yeah,
Any response there?
I'm not I cannot lobby, with our federal legislators. I don't have that ability as a federal contractor. I do have conversations with folks. I do have a feeling that some of that may happen, but I really don't know. Um, I feel confident that again our state, local, and federal governments are going to do the right thing to the best of the ability of the economy as well. No, this is happening to all of us. Yeah, I don't know that I have a great answer to that question either. I'm doing my
More
best to be
questions.
informed. I'm
Yep.
reading a lot and I'm working a lot of hours to become informed to the best of my ability.
More questions coming in. I'm going to the top of the list and then I'll go to the bottom. What are best practices for retail businesses that offer supplies such as animal feed?
Well, one of the things that I talked about there at the top of the presentation is reach out to your existing customer base. Um, Ask them what they need. If you can identify a problem that your customers are having and you have a solution for that, um, and you can transact in a safe way, then I would certainly try to do that. I would encourage you for more specific dialogue, idea generation, and brainstorming to connect with the business advisor in your area. If you're in the Golden Triangle, again, there's four of us serving the Golden Triangle: Joe LaPlante in Havre, Rich is in Cutbank, Tyler here in our office is in Great Falls. I'm also here in Great Falls, but again, there are SBDC advisors. That's probably a dialogue for a bit longer conversation. Or you can also take a look at that crisis toolkit there, that file download available to you with some ideas.
Great. More questions coming in. I think you covered this. Will Montana offer any grant programs for affected small businesses like Seattle and Portland are doing? I think you covered that, Jason.
I think it's possible. I don't know the answer to the question for sure, but I know that I have been asked some questions this week from certain people that may have an indication that that's what they're trying to get answers to. I would hesitate for people to think that there are going to be grants out there for folks as a silver bullet and a bailout. I don't think that that's going to be the majority of the option. I know Facebook is doing, what is it? I believe it's 100 million in grants for small businesses, but they're in 30 countries around the world. That money's going to be chewed up pretty quickly. I think I saw an email or a post yesterday that program is now live. I think there are going to be more organizations, especially large corporations with capital who are going to be paying it forward. But the grant question is generally speaking, there aren't any for for-profit businesses, but that may be changing. I don't know the answer.
Great. Another question, Jason. How do we prove to SBA that we have been affected by COVID?
Financial statements. So one of the things that they were talking about yesterday is if you have your tax returns or your internally prepared financial statements, profit loss statements, balance sheets that are comparative from one period to the next. So maybe it's this month versus last month versus the previous year, same period. That would be one way that we're going to be able to show that. It's going to, remember, everything, market operations, financials, everything has a financial impact in business, and that would be the methodology to prove it.
Great. Another question. Is there a specific amount of hours an employee has to work to get help? I only have part-time employees for flexibility. Not sure how to advise them.
Yeah, I believe there is some flexibility on that. I did read an email on it yesterday. I would encourage you to reach out to the Department of Labor. I believe so, yes.
Okay. Any specific advice or tips for contracted workers and businesses, such as independent contractors who work in a salon type setting?
I'm not sure I understand the detail of the question. For getting them to generate revenue um, or for paying them? I don't.
Katrina, if you could provide some more detail on that question, we'll try to address that. I'm hearing reports that this may go for a year and a half. Is this reliable? Question mark.
I think to the cybersecurity issue, it's important for all topics, including this one, to go to trusted sources. On this topic, who are the trusted sources? The trusted sources, I think, would be the World Health Organization and the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control. I know that there are a lot of people who are thinking 15 days is the shelter in place number. 45 days is the number that we're all thinking about. But if I were in the shoes of an entrepreneur, I can tell you, me personally, I am planning for school to be closed. I have a 6-year-old. I am planning for school to be closed through the end of the year. A lot of states around the country are moving that direction and closing. I believe Kansas has closed public schools for the duration of the school year. The university systems have modified or changed their in-presence educational presentations, school participation, all of that stuff is through the end of the year. I would be preparing for this for the long term. And again, go to trusted resources, World Health Organization, trusted news sources. I know that that's touchy this time in a very contentious political environment. Media outlets that are proven, that have been around. If you're reading it on Facebook, distrust it, I would say. We all know how that can go, but go to the governmental sources. Go there yourself. Don't read a report on Facebook or in some other social platform and think it's right. And here's the reason why. Scammers are out there trying to take advantage of people, and there are also people out there trying to spin a narrative that is not true and is not founded and based in fact.
Jason, another question. Will county health, quote unquote, messengers coordinate more closely with Montana SBA before they make any further restrictions on small businesses, such that small businesses do not have to speculate and rather can start immediately making plans?
I don't know that the SBA has a position in that argument. I think, I can just say within the city of Great Falls and within other communities, those decisions are being made by people who are in positions to be knowledgeable to make decisions. The coordination, I hope, is happening. I firmly believe that collaboration is the way that we're all going to get through this. And I can only assume that folks who are in positions to make determinations like this are making well-informed decisions after having asked the appropriate questions of the appropriate people. Unfortunately, that's not a question that I really can be knowledgeable about. It's a bit outside of my lane.
Another question about the layoff unemployment claim option. If we reduce employees from full-time to part-time, can they get benefits for the difference?
I believe that is true, yes. Again, contact the Department of Labor, montanaworks.gov. Yes, I believe that is correct.
Okay. Let's see. How do you demonstrate impact if you're service-based and no new contracts are coming out? We will have about a 1-month lag, but then everything dries up.
Yep, you'll be able to articulate that and prove it. Anything that you claim, if we're referring to the SBA Disaster Loan Assistance Program, anything you claim, you will be obligated to sign a form that verifies that what you're stating is true. And trust me, the last thing most people want to do is be debarred from doing business with the federal government. or any state agency. Debarment is it's not good. So we all want to make accurate and correct statements. If you need guidance or need some assistance in helping to put that argument together or quantify that argument in some way, that is definitely what an SBA resource partner like the SBDC, WBC, VBOC, or SCORE chapters can assist with.
Another question. I am under contract to buy a service-based business. We are set to close in less than a week. It was a strong business until it had to close a few days ago. What do I do? And then the same person says, the owner and I have been in contact and came up with a payment delay plan based on the closure.
Yeah, that's a difficult one. I know that there are going to be contracts that you're going to need to communicate and have dialogue and come up with a reasonable strategy to move forward. I think it's important to consult your trusted advisors and come to a well-informed decision. That's going to be a difficult one. There are opportunities out there for people to start their businesses right now. I've got a couple of businesses trying to get started, and based on the industry they're in and what they're doing, and their ability and agility to pivot to market opportunity, there are opportunities out there. I don't know, obviously, the nature of that industry and the business, but if again, back to the beginning of the presentation, what are the assets that company has, human, current, and fixed, and could any of them be pivoted to market opportunity? If you can make the assessment that the answer is yes, then it may be a good time to continue and move forward. Your bank's probably going to have to say something about that if there is debt financing involved. But yeah, that's going to be a tough decision to make. But again, I encourage people to make well-informed decisions at all levels.
Another question. What financial statements should a business use if it is only 7 weeks in operation?
Yeah. For the application to the SBA disaster loan assistance, it would be all internally prepared statements. So income statements and balance sheets that you have available to you, but you don't have a whole lot of track record here. So that's going to be difficult. It will be difficult to prove injury. It'll be difficult to prove track record.
Another question. I'm a lodge owner in Bighorn County, and our county just made it mandatory for all lodges to cancel all reservations through the end of April, and it could be extended even further. No reservations, no income. Our fishing guides are all independent contractors, not employees. Do you have advice for independent contractors?
Well, the good thing is that you don't have obligations to them unless you've got a past obligation due to them. So they're going to have to figure out some things on their own, and hopefully they have unemployment insurance on themselves. Yeah, that's a difficult. I think I've touched on that a bit. It's going to be a difficult time, and we're all in the process of figuring that out.
I'm not sure if I read this one, Jason. Our business insurance coverage includes income disruption, but only in the case of mandated closure. Is there discussion of mandated closure for non-essential businesses?
Is there a discussion of mandated closure for
non-essential businesses of wider scope than restaurants? I think I did read that, didn't I?
I would have to make the assumption that some of that's going to be self-imposed. I mean, the kind of general rule of 10 with 6 feet distance, these are health. I have to stay in my lane here. Those are health department decisions, and I don't know that I'm qualified to make a fair assessment.
Somebody just posted, my insurance agent said a virus isn't a covered peril. I did, however, file a claim on my policy. It's worth a try. Not income coming equals no money going out.
Yeah, the goal is to decrease control what you can control. Decrease the money out. I mean, it's worth asking your insurance provider if you can stop making premium payments or decrease the premium payments that you make. I think I've talked about that. It's not surprising to me that insurers are not fulfilling disruption claims.
Another question. I'm wondering if there are resources for businesses who are service-based, closed entirely, and whose staff is independently contracted, no benefits, no unemployment, etc.
Well, if they're 1099 contractors, they're not technically employees. And then the resource question, again, there may be, again, it's worth contacting your existing bank relationships, figuring out what you need. Some of these questions I think may need to be answered in one-on-one sessions with advisors.
A comment from Jeff: this is a unique situation in the history of our country, so solutions should be geared with that in mind. These presented are not suited to the dire need. Getting money from friends, family, loans, etc. are woefully lacking. If we want to preserve our state's economy, we need to think outside the box.
Yeah, and unfortunately, these are outside the box. The vast majority of questions that I am fielding on a daily basis, all day, every day, are where is the federal program that's coming to bail me out? Well, the federal program that's coming to help you is the SBA Disaster Loan Assistance Program. That is a slow process. Again, maybe a month to approval or denial, and then a matter of months beyond that. We really have to look at what we have closest to us, the most available to us. These are the things that I am finding and engaging with people that most are not thinking about. I know that legislators at the federal level are working quickly. The first two phases of the stimulus package came pretty quickly. So I know that legislators are doing what they can to help stimulate purchasing activity. I think it is important for us all to pivot our businesses as much online as we can and figure out, again, what our assets are that we can leverage. What can we do? Ask our clients, our customers, to help support us through this time. There are people out there who are still fully gainfully employed, who are still earning paychecks. And people are going to be receiving, people who have been laid off, they're going to be receiving that unemployment payments, I believe, on a weekly basis. But you're right, completely unprecedented. And I think things like UBI, the Universal Basic Income stuff, is outside of the box. It is new, relatively new in terms of national discussion for those of us over the last two generations. Yep, it is going to be a difficult time.
Previous comment from Jeff. I assume you all at the SBA or the SBDCs have been super busy, but how will your SBA, SBDC staffs handle our needs? Question mark.
Well, we are all, I can't speak for everybody in the entirety of the network and through the SBA Resource Partner Network, both in the state and throughout the country. I believe that the vast majority of us are hosting virtual meetings and phone calls. That's how I'm spending most of my days. I'm using Zoom, GoToMeeting, phone calls, emails to be able to provide my assistance to people to get into more detail. We are working, fielding calls, you are correct, all the time. We do have some additional capacity. Most of us, because we are working from home, are also taking care of our kids. So there is some juggling going on, but we are doing our best to meet those needs virtually and over the phone by email.
Thanks, Jason. And of course, we're at your service too to help with webinars, and we'll be amending our webinar schedule to accommodate needs in the coming weeks. Chad just reminded us that he's posted a link for small businesses to to register for a call with the president later today, if you're able to share that. Again, you can just scroll up the Q&A box and click on that link that Chad posted. All of that is, we'll keep this site open after the webinar concludes so that all of you can access that, as well as the file downloads that are just above there, the Business Crisis Toolkit and the presentation. So feel free to download those for free, and all of the other resources that are accessible on our website. Let's just see. Katrina just asked, did I miss a link for applying for funding assistance?
So the SBA Disaster Loan Assistance Program, if that's what we're referring to, I'll go back to it. Here it is. It is in the Business Crisis Toolkit Control, which you can control PowerPoint slide deck that's downloadable there. You can also go to sba.gov and navigate it through the pull-down menus. That is one program. There may be others at the local levels that may be available to you. I can't speak in detail about a lot of that stuff because it's still just kind of continuing to roll out.
Great. I don't see any other questions. Jason, I assume you've got a few more minutes. If folks have last-minute questions, they can post. Looks like some people are typing now.
Yeah, my daughter has gotten into the guacamole, so I think we're good. You know, I really am doing my very best, and I know my colleagues throughout the state are reading and consuming as much information as they possibly can, so that we can answer questions in the best way we can in an informed way. There is a barrage of information out there. Some of it is inaccurate. I'm really hoping to not disseminate inaccurate information. I am here to provide, I think, all of us ideas and best practices and sort of sounding boards to help entrepreneurs figure out what the best path forward is for them. I do recognize that most people probably are not going to have access to the resources that I've described. So again, this would be an opportunity for folks to engage with a business advisor and talk specifically about your situation. Business advisors, bankers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, financial advisors. Again, the SBA Resource Partner Network, Small Business Development Centers, Veterans Business Outreach Centers, Women's Business Centers. In Montana, the Women's Business Centers also nationwide serve men as well. In Montana, there are Prospera Network in Bozeman and in Hamilton there. There are SCORE chapters throughout the country. They vary by community, so you want to look there. Those folks are volunteers, and often the SCORE mentors are working professionals as well. But know that those are the programs available to you. The SBA.gov, I'll go back to the SBA.gov page here. If you go to the local assistance pull-down menu, you can find your local assistance programs and free business advisors and support on that SBA.gov page in the local assistance menu.
Thanks, Jason. And I'll remind our participants that our past webinars have covered many of the topics, or some of the topics that you've talked about, including business advisors who have offered their services. So feel free to go to that website and access the 2.5 years of webinars that we have recorded archives on the webpage. Also, our listserv is meant for all of you to use, so feel free to post questions and resources for everyone. If you'd like to become a member of the Small Business Webinar, Small Business listserv, you can access that information on the website that I've posted at the top of the Q&A box. A few more comments have come in, or questions. Jeff says, can we call anyone in the state, I assume with the SBA, or not necessarily in our region? Jason, does that make sense? Can they call anyone in the state?
Yes. So I would tell you to reach out to anybody potentially that you can know that we do have territories within the SBDC network. The Women's Business Center serves statewide, but they are limited on staff size as well. SCORE chapters vary by location and jurisdiction there. And the Veterans Business Outreach Centers located in Billings serve a 3-state region, and I believe there's only 2 guys there on staff. So I would encourage you to go local. If you feel like you want to try to talk to somebody else, you certainly can do that. And I'll go back to the page that has our information right there, sbdc.mt.gov. You can find the local region in your area. Here in Great Falls, we serve Glacier, Teton, Toole, Pend Oreille, Cascade, Judith Basin, and Fergus counties. But also remember too that there are economic development organizations, CRDCs, out there as well. Our colleagues at Snowy Mountain in Lewistown, for example, Bear Paw Development Corporation is an SBDC center. There are economic sweetgrass development serving the Golden Triangle as well. There are economic development organizations out there that are not necessarily within the SBA Resource Partner Network that do have business advisors and do provide free assistance as well.
Just a few last questions that have come up. How can we find out what counties in Montana are determined under emergency for funding?
For the SBA Disaster Assistance Program, you can go to the SBA.gov website, and under the, here, I'll go back to it. Under, let's see, that SBA.gov/funding programs, when you get to the page that says apply, there is another apply for assistance, that one there. That takes you to a page that basically has 3 bubbles. One of them shows eligible counties, and you can search by county, you can search by state, and you can see what type of declaration has been made and by whom. So in Montana, for example, the Secretary of Agriculture has deemed certain parts of the state disaster area based on snow, things of that nature. But you'll also see the presidential declaration for eligible. And in Montana, it is the entirety of the state. But once you get into the application, and I haven't talked to anybody today who is in their application. You can't, once you're in your application, you can't get past a certain point until the county, I believe, I haven't seen it personally, but I believe once your county is in there. So again, get to the point, get as far as you can until it stops you and you can't go any further. Save it and continue to come back.
Another question, Mike says, I apologize if I missed it. Did you say the coronavirus is now an option for disaster assistance?
That is correct. The entirety of the state of Montana is deemed eligible. Now, to my understanding, as of last night, the SBA in DC is still connecting the dots for Montana by county. Yes, the entire state was deemed eligible, I believe, and I've lost my days now. On Tuesday night or Wednesday, something like that, the entire state, so all counties. The first 30 counties that were submitted by the governor in the SBA district office are working through. Not all, as of last night. I don't know what time. Not all of them are in the system yet, but that is happening. It will take a bit of time.
Jason, I believe I addressed all the questions. If I missed anyone's questions, please type them in. We're happy to accommodate any of these last questions. And of course, Jason has provided his email address. I will provide the link again. We'll be recording the archive or posting the archive of this recording. And also you can get more information about past webinars and subscribe to our listserv. So last chance for questions. And Jason, any last comments from you?
Yeah, if possible, now is an opportunity for folks to kind of fill in the blanks on things that they feel like they need to learn. And you mentioned the webinars. If for example, in my experience, most entrepreneurs are not, they're great at the thing that they do, but they didn't graduate from business school. That's what I hear a lot. And I will tell people that that's my background as well. I was great at the thing that I was doing as an entrepreneur, but I wasn't a business school graduate. So now is an opportunity to fill in the blanks and understand what what your financial statements are. We have a webinar with a CPA called The Basics of Accounting that we did last year. If you want to take the next step, there's a tool on the sbdc.mt.gov website called Profit Mastery. It's a video learning course that we facilitate live and in person most of the time. It is available for viewing. There's a cost associated with that. And I suppose we should probably discuss whether or not we're going to decrease costs to get more information out there for people. But we do have a QuickBooks class coming up that we're going to do virtually on April 3rd. There are plenty of opportunities to learn and make yourself more financially literate at this point in time, because again, managing and controlling costs are among the smartest things that you can do on becoming a cash flow star right now. Becoming knowledgeable and managing operational efficiencies to the best of your ability is critically important.
Great. Jason, I don't see any additional questions coming up, but of course folks know they can contact you, myself, and access this network via the webpage that I just posted in the Q&A box. If there are no additional questions, I will say thank you to everyone for joining us. Jason, thank you for putting together this incredible bit of information for all of us. Obviously, very well received, and we'll be in touch via the listserv with our next educational opportunities. With that, I'll say thank you. Please be well, be safe, and stay positive all. Thanks, everyone.